Um, my name is Joseph Munyaneza. I'm with USDA ARS in Yakima, Washington. I'm a research entomologist working on potatoes.
And I'm Jeremy Buckman. I'm a graduate student at Washington State University.
For 5 years, my group has been working on zebra chip. As a matter of fact, at the USDA research station, I'm assigned to work on research on potatoes 100%. So I do all my research on potatoes, unlike many of my colleagues. So when the zebra chip disease showed up, I was asked to come down and join the group, people in Texas and North Dakota, to try to figure out what it was. And so our group has been the first one to actually demonstrate that the potato psyllid was the insect behind zebra chip, basically transmitting the pathogen causing the zebra chip potato disease. Since the discovery, my lab has been involved in trying to address many aspects involved in the disease transmission by the potato psyllid, since I'm an entomologist. And so we're trying to understand the interaction basically between the insect, the plant, and the pathogen. Most of my work is done by my crew, and my graduate student Jeremy here can address some of the experiment we have been working on.
Some of the experiments that we presented are related to density, the number of psyllids that are required to effectively transmit the disease, the length of time of feeding for the and the results that we had for the psyllid density were one psyllid is effective vector for the disease, and the length of period or the length of time of feeding for a single psyllid to transmit the bacterium is we have data that shows that it's about 6 hours for a single psyllid. We also did look at some of the effects of the disease over time on the plant and in the speed at which the symptoms will show up in the tuber, and we found that to be 3 weeks under certain conditions. We also looked at resistance, as if older plants will gain a resistance to the disease, and unfortunately we didn't show that, but it looks like the plant age might increase the tolerance to the disease, but that needs to be followed up on. And then finally, we're also doing work on psyllids that are infected and psyllids that are not infected in relation to psyllid yellows and zebra chip.
And what we found basically is that these zebra chip dramatically reduce the yield and affect the processing quality of potatoes. Another thing we have been interested in is screening potato material to see if there is any variety or advanced breeding lines which are resistant or tolerant to zebra chip. For the last couple of years, we did screening of the major potato varieties grown for French fries and chips in Pacific Northwest, and we found out basically that all the varieties we tested, they are all susceptible to the disease. And recently we did a screening where we looked at different advanced breeding lines which we received from many breeders, including Frito-Lay and many well-known breeders in the United States. We did screen about 100 lines, and surprisingly, there was a dozen of them. When they are exposed to infected psyllids, they don't produce really zebra chip symptoms in the raw tubers. However, when you fry them into fries or chips, they just show the defect of zebra chip. A couple of those breeding lines, they seem to be promising. They are not showing any symptoms even when processing French fries or chips. One surprising thing, though, is many of these lines which are showing light zebra chip symptoms in raw tubers. When you bake them or boil them, they don't show the symptoms, which may be a good news for fresh market. So I don't know how they taste, but it's something we should consider looking into further, because if it cannot be used for French fries, it cannot be processed into French fries or chips, they can still be consumed as table potatoes. So that's one. Another thing I would like to add is we have been looking at, does the planting time of potato planting time have an influence, have an impact on the disease? And we have done this specifically here in Texas. And what we found out was that potatoes which are planted early in the season in the lower Rio Grande Valley of Texas, let's say December, January, those potatoes are more affected by zebra chip than those ones planted late, let's say February or March. So if you are in the lower Rio Grande Valley, you have to watch out. See if your potatoes are planted early, you have to know that they're going to be at a high risk, so you have to protect them against the potato psyllid. If you are planted late, it doesn't mean you have to go to sleep and ignore that, but more likely you may need to do less insecticide application. But as you move north, we have not seen the trend. So, but I think those are many good aspects which may help the growers. But we are still looking, we're still continuing our research so we can kind of fine tune, the research we're working on with zebra chip.